Welcome to Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're here to talk about what goes on in the village councils and the township meetings, the people that govern you, make laws, regulations, and boy, do they affect you.
Well, these are the people that, well, you've elected, and the commissions and committees that they've appointed, and the decisions that they make directly affect you, whether you go to their meetings or not and voice your opinion. So, anyhow, that's what this program is about.
Yes, and I want to tell you, we have a little disclaimer here.
Oh.
Everything that we say is pretty close to the truth, kind of close to the truth.
Well, 50-50, and we don't know which 50 you're getting.
Well, it's up to those folks out there to decide which part that they like and which parts they don't like. So there you have it, right?
After all, they do have the on-off switch.
They do. Okay, let's talk about the first meeting, shall we?
Sure.
Okay, the first one is the Oxford Village DDA meeting.
Downtown Development Authority.
Downtown Development. And let me see, who was the chairperson? Bill Dunn.
Bill Dunn, right?
He was.
He was?
Yes, but we'll cover this in just a moment.
Oh.
Yeah, first item they have, of course, is bills.
Changes in the air.
Yeah, first issue was pay the bills. Got to pay the bills. They paid the bills. Okay, that went rather quickly.
How big was the bill?
Something around 16,000, I believe. In
Not
that
bad.
area. Not too bad. Right. Then they had a discussion about Jenny Shomish's trips that she's going to be doing in terms of meetings, learning sessions. What do they call them? Seminars.
Seminars. Very
She'll be
good.
going to seminars. And this actually was a subject that came up earlier, that she was going to pay her way, the gasoline, and of course share expenses with another person.
Right.
And
Well, these really do have two functions. One is the education that she'll get, and the other one is networking with other people with similar responsibilities.
right, it's a pretty important thing that she's doing here. Except the DDA board, they said, "Oh, wait a minute now. She shouldn't have to pay for this. You know, we've got it in our budget now. We're starting to come out of the woods, you know, so we should be able to cover this." So they did discuss that, and they talked about mileage, how much for gasoline mileage, and Mr. Dunn pointed out that the township pays 56 cents per mile
This year.
this year, right, and that we should maintain that standard,
Right.
you know, of payment. So it was agreed that, you know, they would do that.
That's fair.
It is. And so Jenny will be turning in, excuse me, the expenses, and they'll work from there, you know, in future meetings. So that was pretty much resolved. Bill Dunn, it was going to be his last night. He's been on the board for 3 years.
Oh, so he's last night as the chairman or last night on the board, period?
As the chairman and on the board as well.
Oh, really?
They'll
Oh.
probably have somebody else.
Well, he had a valuable input to it because he, after all, he is the supervisor of Oxford Township.
Right. But guess who is the new chairman?
Who?
Who's elected?
Who? They all said.
Pete Schultz.
Pete Schultz.
Yeah, fire chief.
Oh, wow.
So
He's okay.
they all rounded him up and threw a rope over him and dragged him. And Bill Dunn says, "Do you want to take over right now?" And Pete says, "No." He says, "I'll wait till the next meeting."
But I think one of the requirements is, of course, you have to be you have to be a member of the village, right? Or a resident of the village, should I
Well,
say?
there is one position now that they allow for the township
Oh,
to be in. So
But
you can
it
do
just so happened that Bill Dunn lived in the village,
Yes.
so he's covered.
that. He's covered. Yeah, and everybody that's on the board is covered.
All right.
And by the way, the DDAs, they're doing a pretty fine job out there. They had a new person just assigned to the board, and that's Sue Basardi. She's not new to the community.
Well, she
but
heads up the village planning commission,
she does. And
she's also on the village council.
she is.
You're very agreeable.
And so it's good that, you know, they have an individual that is so close to the village council, because this person understands the budgetary requirements and needs, you know, of the DDA and what's going to take, you know, for the DDA to remain solvent. And they're starting to cut their way through the woods
That
now.
and the fact that they fund the DDA.
Yes, the DDA. And especially the council, village council wants to keep a close eye on those expenses now.
Right.
So, but they seem to have a pretty good group of board members now. They're really watching it. So, and
this
they are
means
coming out of it.
Well, this means I have to once again readjust my OCTV bulletin board, which lists all these people.
Yes. Small task.
Small task.
for a great guy. Anyway, so be it.
Is that faint praise?
Watch out for the pat on the back because there's a close proximity to a kick in the butt. So, anyway,
If I get it wrong.
yes, if you get it wrong. So Sue Passardi, she was made pro tem. In other words, she will be the vice chair.
Until Bill goes away.
Well, Bill has gone away. He's
Oh, really? He
he's no
actually
longer the
resigned.
chairperson.
Oh, he resigned.
He didn't resign. His term was done. So when his term was completed, now they fill
Okay.
those
Is
slots.
this after November 4th, or is it now?
It's
Next
effective
meeting?
now.
Okay.
Next
All
meeting.
right.
Yep. Ed Hunwick, who was the treasurer before, is also reappointed the treasurer to come up. Ed is, of course, the chairperson for the Communications Commission as well.
That's right.
So, but
Our parent organization.
I remember Ed when he first came on board.
Oh, I remember it.
Yeah, I
Oh,
remember
gosh.
Ed. Yeah. He first came on the board. And,
He was only 4.
no. Really, he was really throwing the budgetary situation that the DEA had. Of course, which they had no money at that
Right,
time.
right.
And Ed went through the figures, and I remember him giving a report, before the village council. And he said, went through it, and he says, and in summary, he says, we have no money. So he got his feet wet rather early in this thing, and he's
I looked in the cupboard and there was nothing there.
yeah, he's done a good job in bringing it back and keeping an eye on it. So I think
Good.
they felt that it was a good job to keep him in that.
And it was
in
kind
that
of a
position.
tangled bit of finance there to start with, too.
In what way?
In what way?
Yeah.
Well, it was there was an awful lot of conflict between the village and the DDA as to how much who owed to whom.
Yeah.
So
Well-
Ed went a long way, I think, to straightening that out and getting a start point
Yeah,
anyhow.
but here's the thing: if you're on the DDA and you're running out of money, whose fault is it? Well, it's not our fault. It's got to be their fault.
Oh,
And those people say,
what are fingers for?
they said, well, you people approve.
Oh, you people! Oh, fighting words.
We say, well, who comprised this budget in the first place? But anyway, it went back and forth, and actually,
boy.
you know who won on that one? Village Council. did.
Well,
And of course, they
with a tight grip on the purse strings.
and they repositioned everything,
Yes,
with
yes,
that board. So
right.
and it's worked out well.
Good.
The money's
Well,
starting.
there was
to
a readjustment
flow.
period, and I think they are getting the funds that they need to operate now.
They are, but it's a thing that's happened in the past now. So they're moving on to the future, and they have some pretty good plans for the future. For the village. And I think the addition to Jenny Showman that's come on board, very, very enthusiastic young lady.
Now,
And,
she is going to be what? A position?
she's the director.
Okay, is that a part-time or full-time?
Right now it's part-time, but it could very easily move into a full-time position as it gets going.
Okay.
So, and she has these connections, which are great connections, and as I say, the seminars, that kind of thing. But she had connections either even prior to this, from
In
the
a former
university.
life.
In a
Okay.
former life, she did. Well, she's kind of young to have a real formal life.
So it's fresh in her mind.
Compared to Moses here, anyway.
Oh, all right.
And Sue Passardi, she was placed in a position of handling, as I say, the pro tem position. David Bailey was made secretary.
Oh,
So now that may change too because of the election. We don't know who's going to be elected to the
Oh, that's
village
true.
council and who would be appointed village council to be
The old-
on the board.
the old mixer of the election.
Uh-huh.
Who knows?
But he may be an individual that might want to volunteer for the board anyway because he's
Okay.
in the village. So we'll have to see what happens there. And
November 4th.
November 4th. He's finally got it right.
Hey,
November 4th. Don't miss it.
I had it
because your
bracketed
vote's
before.
important. Yeah, that election.
at
is
least on
coming.
one side.
That election is coming up soon.
That's
November
right.
4th. So anyway, let's talk about that. Excuse me, a little bit more when we come back right after this. Welcome back to Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we've been talking about the DDA
Right.
and kind of some things going on in that area. One thing that there were comments on the end that Sue Basardi said, wait a minute, I have a comment. And the comment is, there are some problems with the water system and the way they're being built.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
This is on the DDA?
It's on DDA that she
What
brought
do
it
they
up.
have to do with the water system?
Well, because they're involved with the village, you know, that kind
Okay,
of thing. So,
all right,
and
all right.
she has, you know, the right, you know, as a member of this board to bring it up.
I suppose.
Yeah, and I think the sooner the better, because
Right.
she
Wouldn't
said,
that be something that would be brought up at the village council?
well, yeah, that'll be brought up there too. I'll guarantee it probably
Okay.
will in the other committees, but everybody be knowledgeable about it.
Okay.
But what is the issue? The issue is that there's a new procedure for which people are billed for water and sewage. It's based on the actual usage now
Right.
that a person uses at home. And if you get that little item over there, this is a water meter.
I present you.
There it is. This is not a spaceship. This is a water meter.
We were going to give you an Oscar, but this is all we had.
That's all we had, yes. It has, as the Germans would say, Kazin and a Kazout. But in most cases, homes would have 1-inch line coming in to feed it. And
This is 5/8.
Yeah, this is 5/8. But you'd have a 1-inch, and it would be marked on it, you know, as far as the input. Unfortunately, there are some homes that a while back required 3/4 inch. And so, according to the computer, for the billing purposes, you may be logged in as a 1-inch water user rather than 3/4 inch.
Uh-oh.
Right, in which case, the computer assumes you're using more water than what you would for a 3/4 inch.
Why?
It's based on that.
Based on
Meter
these readings?
Based on the meter readings,
Really?
too. Yeah, this is the size that it
So,
takes under
if
consideration.
this is measuring volume, how could it be wrong?
Well, this is the actual measurement, but they do base it on 1-inch pipe input, too.
Oh, so it must be representing implied volume by velocity.
Yeah, the formula comes out. Yeah, very similar. Okay, I recognize that. Okay, so you have 1-inch input, but if you feel your bill is not
By
correct.
the way, Elgin and I went back and forth on this one for about 20 minutes.
I was afraid we were going to miss the show there for a while, but he actually wanted to take it apart and see how it actually
Inquiring minds
mechanically
want
worked.
to know.
Right. And we talked about, you know, having the outside external reading, you know, from your home rather than them coming into your home, because usually these are inside the home and where it connects and everything. But that's a whole different subject that we already covered.
Right.
The main thing you need to know is if you feel your bill is excessive, that you need to go down in the basement or wherever your meter is located, check the input coming inside your house as far as what size that pipe is. This one is 5/8, which is way too small.
And it'll be stamped right in the casting.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Yes. Some are not.
Oh.
Yeah.
Then how do they know?
Well, they'll have also a model number on the outside.
Okay.
Also, we'll go back to the computer and designate what the real size is.
So get the number down correctly.
Yes, if you don't have one here, and if you're in doubt, contact the village offices and talk to Sue Nasser, and she will help you out with it. Now, if your billing is incorrect, they'll make an adjustment, a credit to your account. So they want to make this right, and they just want us to make you aware that it could be an issue. So don't get too excited, because they're going to take care of it if
All
there's
right.
a problem.
Very
right?
good.
There you go. We'll tear this apart later. There you go.
I'd like to thank all the people that have, no.
Okay. This guy will learn more about the mechanics of this when we tear it down. So that's the DDA meeting. And the next one, let's talk about the Pollyant Trail.
Pollyant Trail Management Council.
Yes. And Mike McDonald is the chairperson.
He's also the, what is it, the chairman of the Leonard Council?
Leonard Council, yeah.
Or is that chairman or president?
I think it's Board of Trustees for Leonard. I think that's his,
Board of Trustees is township.
yeah. I don't know
Council,
what they call it there. Could be council.
Council is the village.
We'll have to give him a call. You call him and check.
It's the Oxford Village Council.
Would
It's
you
the
call?
Leonard Village
You'll
Council.
call him, right? Got it.
I'm not going to call him because I know.
That's what I have to deal with, folks. I got to tell you.
Yep.
We'll get through this. So anyway, Patrick Ball is the trail manager, Does a pretty good job too, and keeps a close eye on
Yeah.
things.
That's getting it to be a pretty extensive thing.
Yes. They started out with a beginning balance, they were saying, at 73,000, something like $221.
Right.
And they said that their bills came to $1,554, something in that neighborhood, or $84.
That's good cash
$584.
flow in any book.
It is, and expenses aren't that great. So that leaves them an ending balance of about $71,000, which is pretty good. I mean, they're holding in there. One of the subjects that came up, a couple of them, about signage. One on the bridge. They said, "Hey, what about the bridge situation where we're going to put a sign over the Pollyant Trail, you know, in Oxford?"
Well, they've been working on this
Yeah.
one forever.
Well, that one's going to kind of stop because the size of the sign they had, MDOT says, can't use that, and we're not going to allow you to do it.
But it's one thing to say you can't do it, but what if someone does it?
Well, then it'll be removed, and they'll get a bill to have it removed. But anyway, the state of Michigan, they said, well, we will give you a highway sign. They're kind of, I think, green in nature, or however you see them on bridges and so forth, designating the Pollyant Trail if you'd like to do that. And after conversation, I think the board members pretty much agreed that's the route they would take. However, Joe Young pointed out that you could also put a sign on the base of the bridge, on the right side of the bridge, indicating
depending on-
Pollyant Trail if you wanted to do that.
On both sides.
On both sides if you wanted to do that.
Right, being relative.
Right. And they said, well, how much would it cost to do that kind of a sign? He said, well, around anywhere from about $500 to maybe $1,500.
What would that sign say?
Pollyant Trail.
Should have asked.
Right. But it would be a fancier sign indicating, you know, Pollyant Trail.
Or they could just put a big one up there right on the where it crosses the highway
can't do that.
and preclude
They can't
any
do-
other sign being put up there.
Can't do that.
Why?
They won't allow. First of all, the village has an ordinance that allows only certain size signs.
Oh.
The state of Michigan has control over the signage that goes over that bridge. So then the state of Michigan says, no, you're not going to do that.
Okay.
Now they could go with a temporary banner above the bridge.
Just like now.
But, yeah, but the temporary banner would also have to, excuse me,
Come down eventually.
eventually, yeah, there's only a certain period of time that you can have it up there. And there's also requirements by the village, the size and so forth, as far as the lettering.
Right.
1 foot lettering. Anyway, so those issues all come into play. I think they pretty much agreed that they would have the state, you know, put a sign on
Okay.
both sides. So
Then the state would charge the Pollyant Trail for doing it,
No.
or just absorb the cost?
they'll absorb the cost, they'll put it up, they'll maintain the sign
Wonderful.
wherever they need to do. So there you have it on the signage on the bridge. There's also other signs that they were talking about, and Leonard on the trail need a sign, and they said
Where it crosses Elmwood, or
yeah, where it crosses down there, and so they made a point of saying, well, we can do that. We'll go ahead with that part of it, and they said also, by the way, there's a broken bench, and I know that there's a bench ordinance or a bench procedure that they have in which people can donate bridges and they have
donate benches.
benches. I said bridges. I could donate a bridge too. You want to donate a bridge? No. I think Pollyant Trail would probably
They're
take
liable to
one.
commit them to something they're not going to be able to get out of here.
Might not be able to do that. Anyway, thank you. Anyway, they said that this bench is kind of pretty well dilapidated. You know, the bears sit on it, and it kind of breaks down. You
Although
know?
I think also over time there's a certain amount of vandalism that occurs too.
And right, and I think beavers are dragging off pieces of it. So anyway, they said, okay, Mr. Ball said, well, I'll remove that and I'll take care of that, so it'll
Okay.
be done. Let me see. Bus, they're going to get a new bus coming in, probably this year. They still haven't received it yet.
A what?
A bus.
A
And-
bus?
Yeah.
For the Pollyant Trail. We're talking NOTA here?
Oh, no, something about a bus. Anyway. I think I just been busted. By the way, we'll be back in just a moment, right after this.
Is that NOTA?
Yeah, where is that? Hello, I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Terry Stiles.
Together, Terry and I host the weekly news Monday through Friday at 12, 6, and 11 p.m.
Broadcast on Charter Channel 191 and AT&T UVerse 99, we only cover news that impacts our local Addison and Oxford area. In other words, by all accounts, news that would normally not receive from any other televised source.
But chances are, if it's local, it will be found on Oxford Community Television and OCTV.
For the weekly news, I'm Terry Stiles.
And I'm Elgin Nichols. Together, we invite you to join Terry and me for our next OCTV weekly news program.
Welcome back to Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're talking about a bus right now for the Pollyant Trail. Actually, the idea was to shuttle people because there's a problem, you know, in terms of transporting people and
Just
also
in case
parking.
just in case, you know, I can't walk all that. I'll need a bus.
Yeah, I need a bus. Anyway, there's also parking problems because
Yeah.
when people take the Pollyant
Right.
Trail, they, you know, they're kind of limited to where they can park.
So this will allow them to park somewhat distant from the trail, and yet the bus would deliver and pick them up.
Right. There's a church, I think, on Drainer Road somewheres down there, and they've been parking kind of off the shoulder of the road there, which is kind of dangerous. But
Yeah.
the guy that is in the church, I think he's Minister Wayne Bennett, I think his name is.
All right.
I
I think I know which one you mean.
He has been there quite a while, and he said, you know, you folks can use our parking lot if you want to do that.
Except on Sunday.
Right. And he said, the only thing is, I don't want any signs to go up indicating, you know, that you can do
Right.
this. So,
Just implied.
mental telepathy.
Well, you don't want to. Well, you don't want to turn it into an official park and ride.
Right. But so people don't know that they can park there yet. So
Right.
as, you know,
So how do they get informed as to that?
I was hoping you'd go down, stand on the
I-
corners.
My little sandwich board.
Right, the sandwich board, yeah. No regulation on that. You can do that all day long. No
I
problem at
see.
all.
That's
Okay.
township, by the way.
Yeah.
I have no idea what their regulations are.
Well, then I got to tell you, the board then talked about, you know, the lights. There's one on Drainer, and there's on Main Street downtown Washington.
Yeah.
That people want to cross the street. you know.
Okay.
So they push the button.
And there's one there on what? Burdick.
Yep, on Burdick Street.
And that's a solar-powered one.
Yep, it is. And they said, as far as these buttons are concerned, they need to be coordinated somewhat. You
With-
know,
with the
and
light
because
system
there's one
itself?
yeah, there's one, right, as far as timing. One they said is like 10 minutes, the other one's like 15 minutes, the other one is like, you got to run like a chicken.
But
Get
there would
across.
be no effort to coordinate them with the sequence of lights prior or
Right.
after.
So,
Okay.
right. So then the question came up is, who's responsible for those lights? As far as repair and so forth.
Oh, right, right.
And Joe Young, the village manager, he said, we are. The village is. If it's inside the village,
Okay.
it's been agreed on.
And it's within the scope MDOT allows.
Yes, right. And he said, they said, well, how does that work? And they said, well, they send us a bill and we pay the bill. You know,
Who
that's the way
sends
it
you the
works.
bill?
The township does, I guess. Apparently, it's run through the township.
Oh,
and
okay.
then it gets to Joe Young.
Right.
So,
But once again, much like the rigmarole they went through installing that other light just
Mm-hmm.
south of the theater, it all has to be compliant with MDOT regulations
oh,
and
absolutely.
their approval.
Yeah, and of course, everything runs through MDOT for repairs too.
right.
So, and anyway, I think as far as the repairs are concerned, I think the township uses certain people for that, or the county. I'm sorry, the county comes out, they repair it, they send a bill, and Joe Young pays the bill, and that's the way it works.
Okay.
So the only thing that they came up with, and that was Mike McDonald says, hey, we'd like to know in advance. We don't want a big whopping bill coming in the direction
Oh, sure.
for this thing. So that was kind of noted that perhaps, you know, if they're going to have a major repair, that it does come, you know, it's a notification, you know, to the
Now, is this
village.
going to apply to Leonard also?
Leonard. No.
Okay. All right.
No, only the village
Of
is
Oxford.
concerned, of Oxford. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, benches and tables. There are benches and tables that are available in Lake Orion. The
Is that the recycled material?
village the village manager said that they have these extra benches and tables from the park that they're not going to be using anymore
okay.
because they've got new ones coming in.
Okay.
But they're still in pretty good shape. And he said,
Oh,
hey,
are they
you
wooden
guys
or
can have
metal or what?
He didn't get into the detail, but he said they're pretty good shape.
All right.
He said, so if you need them along the trail, he said, you're welcome to use them. They said, yeah, free, that's a good word.
How many were there?
There's lots of them. They said you can be selective, you know, in terms of what they
Okay,
want.
lots.
So, lots.
Is that metric?
It could be the same as volume.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Okay, that's pretty much it with the Pollyant Trail. They said that there were some private donations given, and there's a policy for that, and they can get recognition for it. They said on the zombie run that they had, there were some sponsors. There's Christine's Bar and Grill that provided funds and so forth.
Whose?
Christine's Bar and Grill. It's called the Zombie Run for Lake Orion.
Oh,
Yeah.
you mean Christie's,
Was it Christie's?
not Christine's.
Oh, Christine's. Okay, Christie's.
Come on.
It says Christine's here. Anyway, could be my writing. I might have stuttered. Christine, whatever.
Right.
Anyway, you folks know who they are. Anyway, they're good people and they
They
donated.
do now.
And Sagebrush also, the cantina,
Right.
donated. And Main Street Bike also donated towards it. And there was also a private donation on behalf of Marilyn and Jack Barnes,
Okay.
a local citizen that passed away, and the son donated in their behalf.
That's nice.
Okay? All righty. What do we have coming up?
What do we have coming up? Well, not a lot.
Not a lot.
On November 3rd at 7:30, Addison Township Park Committee, and at 7 o'clock, the Village of Oxford ZBA. And on November 4th, which, by the way, is Election Day, at 7 o'clock, Oxford Parks and Rec, and at 7 o'clock, the Village of Oxford Planning Commission. And this would be the last time I probably remind you of this, but here's the voter guide put out by the League of Women Voters. And it gives up the various candidates an opportunity to tell you about themselves, basically their resume, what they believe in, what they think they can do. Also, there's an awful lot of people that you may not have any clue when you go in to vote for them, like Supreme Court judges, district judges, circuit court judges, college trustees, school boards, and state and local proposals. So it's all in here, pretty well explained what the issues are or the candidates expressing it themselves. You can pick this up at any of the municipal offices or public libraries.
And there's on the ballot wolves.
Wolves!
Wolves. Gray wolves. So,
Yes, it is.
Yeah, you can learn more about that subject, by picking this up.
As a matter of fact, there's two, isn't there?
There's two.
Right.
Yep. They have to, first of all, take them off the endangered species list, and then they have to decide who's going to be responsible to set the hunting
Yep.
guidelines.
Also, local proposals are in here, so
They are.
millages and
Lots of good stuff there.
wonderful things.
Yeah. And don't forget, that's on November 4th. Don't
So don't
Don't
get
be
caught
late.
like a deer in the headlights. Know
Like
what
him.
know what's on the ballot before you go in.
Yeah, now he's going to show up a day late, but
And $1 short.
he'll never live that one down. I just want to mention, too, a couple things with the Oxford Village Council, that real quick. Chuck Snyder made the point that the property that's for sale by the township, which is the VA building and the parking lot,
Oh, yeah.
that originally that property was owned by the village and they sold it to the township. So that was kind of an interesting little bit of information. So with that, this is Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we'll catch you next time on Minutes by Minute.
See you then.
Yeah.
You're watching OCTV, Oxford Community Television, serving Oxford, Addison Township, and the Village of Leonard.